Hey, this is Dave from Stencil. This was a picture from Unsplash, and you can find lots of great photos there, but typically you want to do this with a photo that you make, a photo that's important to you. Okay, let's paint it together. So, this multi-panel stencil, this is the upper rightmost panel of the middle layer, is going to be kind of interesting to paint because we're going to use 4 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and by doing that we're going to have a larger surface. We're going to cover a larger surface than we could with any one panel. So if you had cut this on your Cricut Explorer, for example, then you would find that this largest stencil you can make is 12 inches wide, which would mean that if you have a picture that you want to be this big, you can't do it because both dimensions are larger than 12 inches. Now if you want to do a banner that's long and thin, you'd have no problems doing that one after the other on your Cricut. But Stencil allows you to take any image, turn it into a stencil, and then from there make multi-panel stencils from that multi-layer stencil. So we have 3 layers altogether. The first layer is white, so we don't have to paint that stencil. The second layer is going to be light brown, and we're going to paint 4 panels of light brown. Then we're going to paint 4 panels of black. That's going to give us 2 colors on white, so 3 colors, and 4 panels for each of the second 2 layers. That'll be 8 panels for a large format stencil. Let's do it together. Notice we have these registration marks here. We're going to go ahead and paint right up to the registration marks. With registration, we're going to use these registration marks here. They're just little triangles that don't quite pop out all the way when they're cut, but once you have it cut, you can just pop them out with your finger or with a pen or any other thing that sticks in and allows you to get your finger in there to get them out. And the reason these are important is because these marks are going to help us, like these 2 triangles here, are going to help us line up this stencil with the stencil panel that's going to go right beneath it. So every layer of this stencil has 4 panels, left top, left bottom, right bottom. And we need these marks to help us line up the panels so that each layer goes down right. And then the layer on top of that also has 4 panels, and they're also going to use the same registration marks and go down right. In our case, we're going to paint the registration marks. We're going to paint the very first layer we paint is going to have black dots here, so we'll be able to use those black dots to register over and over again. You can also do this with pencil, and if you do it with pencil, you can just pencil in a solid mark, and then as you go through the stencils, when you're finished finally with your final stencil, you can erase the black mark, the black pencil mark with your eraser. You see how we matched these 2 here, whereas this one we need to put a little dot so we can match the next one. So I need it here. Just so you see really clear how we're lining these things up. So this is the lower quadrant, the stencil that's going to be in the lower quadrant. You see it's got these 2 holes in it and these 2 holes. Now notice that if I line this up here, like there's nothing under this hole because I'm going to paint what's in this hole, but what I'm using is these 2 marks to line this up. So when I paint this mark, I'll actually use that to line up the next stencil, but for now it's just going to line up using the top and the bottom, these 2. There we go. That's going to line up perfect. And I'm not masking off the sides of this because, and it's going to be a little bit messy, and that's okay, but the point is to really show you how this is, how the registration marks are used. by the time I'm painting this last layer, I actually have 4 fully filled in marks that I can use to register this thing. So the next time I won't have to, for the next layer, I won't have to paint any marks because all the marks will already be painted. So I'll already be clear on where the stencils go. Let's just finish this layer off real quick. Somewhere in here there should start to look like there's a third face in here somewhere. Great, it matches up perfectly. It's 2 of 2, and this will be a dark layer. It won't be black, but it'll be dark. Let's just do this a little bit. Oops. It's a little bit sticky still. Dink. Come on. Those are the eyes. So. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the result. There are a couple of things that you might want to look at a little bit careful with. One of them is these marks here, which would normally be in pencil, you could just erase them. Also, these artifacts here, where there's no paint here, and there's a little bit of paint here and paint here, are from the fact that I didn't mask off the edges. I didn't mask off the edges when I was here on when I was using these stencils on the side. I didn't mask here, so this dark pattern, that's going to mean there's a light cross that goes all the way through. And if you don't want that light cross, just carefully mask off the edges here. And also, you'll use an eraser to erase this because you won't actually paint these marks. You'll only pencil them in, line up your stencil, and then cover these marks when you go to spray your paint. Okay. That's it. Otherwise, I think I'm pretty happy with it.